Thank you everyone for being here. I never take it lightly when I'm able to read my work in front of people. I find it to be a real blessing to be able to share the work that I worked on for most of my adult life. And most of my work, especially for some of you who have taken classes with me, deals around how place affects us and how we affect place. And that is an amazing topic because there's two things that you can never get away from in this life. One is yourself, and the other is the place that you're in. Because even if you move someplace else, you're there and you're in a new place. And how you interact with yourself in that place will determine a lot about your life there. I want to thank my wife who is out there watching, and I wish she would come in. That's not out there, it's all right. Well, not maybe not your pocket, but you know, it's an amazing thing when I was much older than Jess when we met, and I met her after living nomadically for 12 years all throughout the world, and she's truly my partner in everything. And none of this would be possible if she didn't help me plan this, design the posters, the tickets, design the book, come with me on all the different tours and readings. Mike also came with me on a 2-week tour from San Francisco to Seattle. So you gotta have good people to do good things. And the more good people, and the more you create community, and that's why I like to put on events, because creating conscious and artistic, collaborative community is such a wonderful thing. And I know so many of you here from the different classes and the different places that I lecture, and it's just wonderful to have you all in the same room. Another interesting thing is that the guitarist we have here tonight from Northern California is Jessica's mother. I mean, she's my mother-in-law. And it's very interesting because after I found out that Jess's mom was a classical guitarist and she found out that I was a poet and a writer, we always said we should do something together. And people say those things, but I think the two of us probably in our hearts realized that it would happen at some point in time. And now it is. And it's an amazing thing when you put stuff out there, but then you also bring it to fruition. I think that's very important in life, not just to say you're going to do something, but actually following through on it. So I want to thank her for coming in from Northern California. We're doing 3 shows together. This is the first show. And I think it's going to be wonderful. And I want to say something too. She has a wonderful handmade, like really expensive guitar that she usually plays with that she couldn't bring on the plane. The first time she touched this guitar was today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, that's what I said.
And I'm handicapped. I lost one of my nails. It's not there.
But that's amazing because your guitar, as a musician, becomes a part of you. And so she's had to now pick up a new guitar, and as you can tell from her wonderful talent, she was able to make that guitar a part of her because the music comes from her heart and her soul, not just from her fingers. So that's very important. Another thing I'd like to talk about is whenever we're going to do something, I always want to raise money for people, marginalized people, people who maybe aren't being seen by our society. So last time we did Second Harvest Food Bank, we raised a good, it was wonderful. This time we're doing Harbor House. I picked Harbor House because we're doing acoustic harvest. And I've worked on many organic farms and I've been part of harvest. And a harvest is a time when you come together to reap what you've sown and to share with the community. And so that's what we're doing here tonight. And also, since place is very important to me, Harbor House provides a place for people who don't have a place to go when they come and become confronted with domestic violence. So to think that you don't have a place is one of truly the most disheartening things that a person can go through. I've worked with homeless people all over this nation. It's disheartening. And so if you know that you need to leave a place, it's wonderful to know that you have a safe place to go to transition. And so that's who we're working for tonight. Place. Now, Jess also put together this wonderful visual. And the next 3, I'm going to read 3 pieces. So this is my latest book that came out. It's called Nomadic Devotion, a contemplative inquiry into the poetics of place. And there's 6 poetic groupings in here. And the first grouping is called Northeast Autumnal Notes. I grew up in the Northeast. The Northeast is very dear to my heart, and the autumn in the Northeast is just absolutely wonderful. And so these poems are about natural places that brought me into that moment of harvesting the poems. And we chose Autumn Leaves by Joseph Cosma because it just seemed to go with the theme. And that is a painting by Tom Thompson. If you don't know who Tom Thompson is, he basically was the inspiring painter for the group of 7 who were Canada's environmental renegade artists. And they would hop boxcars with pallets and paintbrushes and then go camp in the wilderness for months at a time and do paintings to try to bring up people's environmental consciousness. And we went to the Tom Thompson Museum this summer, way up in Ontario, and it was absolutely wonderful. So that's a Tom Thompson painting. And this is going to be 3 poems that I'm going to read together while Jaqueline plays Autumn Leaves. Dusk in Rosemont, Montreal, Canada. A faint, mesmerizing orange glow meanders around the stems and bodies of early green apples and pointed burgundy leaves, as the tribe of trees that encompass this place exhale solar particles back into the city atmosphere. This regenerated aura seeps onto rectangular red bricks, transforming the restored wall behind me into a cinema of arbor nuance, honoring the day's end. Abruptly, like the outstretched wings of a huge, deep purple raven returning to its cultured nest, darkness descends upon the urban wood. My breathing is imaginary. The clothes on the line above the tangled grapevines are marked for scarecrows. The Defectors, Ottawa, Canada. By the cover of river, flowing long mirror of time, the North Country welcomes me with its soft pace of day. Cool sun shines over my shoulder, shade maples droop over sloping bank. An Indian path, red dirt, follows winding Ottawa River, thick blue. Ripe autumn leaves with tracing veins sail yellow and orange downstream. Her Majesty's geese go soaring over the canal, land and gather on a muddy field. After 3 days, the winged defectors flee. No papers, just feathers upon a southerly breeze. The Fox and the Wildflowers, Seneca Lake, New York. The harvest has taken most of the grapes from the vines. The vineyards rest in deep burgundy afterglow. But the hawk-eyed pilgrim can still glean unplucked charms from moseying rows with her basket in hand, silent rambling through the fields. All of creation is either pregnant or ablaze, being gathered or gazed upon, as this pagan time dances upon the earth, dazzling the human psyche with a realm of bounty, magic, and infused memories. Autumn is like a fox at the end of a hunt, enchanted with bloody game dangling from its mouth, ceremonial in the markings of its reddish-brown coat, soft white underbelly stained by dirt and berries, fleet of foot, graceful, and swept through memory before our pious eyes can peer into its wild, untamed iris. I've been very fortunate to be able to work with a lot of different artists all over the world. DJs, jazz musicians, classical, and each time is a unique experiment because you have to find your rhythm with each other. We've never actually played before. We've done a couple Skype sessions. But really it's about finding the mood and the nuance of the piece, and then you just come together and do your thing on stage. It's a very interesting process though. This next set of pieces, I believe, is Greenwich Village Trees and Garbage and Art. And this is another one of the group of 7 painters, Lauren Harris. I find that when I move into urban areas after being in very natural areas after a while, the poems that I write about take on a lot of the issues that society is going through at the moment. I actually had this poem, Greenwich Village Trees, published in a journal by the University of Ottawa in 1999 when I was living in Ottawa, Canada, a long time ago. But it's interesting, and I guess you'll see why. And the other one is Garbage and Art, and it's about being in the Lower East Side in Alphabet City, which is where my father's originally from, and seeing what some artists can do with garbage, which is an amazing thing. So the piece is La Paloma by Sebastian Iridier, and it's arranged by Sophocles Papas. It's a great name. Village trees. It is so passé, the old man's style always so gray, but that eccentric fall madam, in living color she dresses blowing leaves, from green boys of spring, older and bolder after repressing summer heat, to autumn transvestites, seeking their first outdoor romance before the conservative, whistling winter wind sweeps the painted queens off the streets. Garbage and Art, Alphabet City, New York. Breezes drift through a community garden in Alphabet City, where garbage and old toys, the objects left out by the curb, are stacked and molded together into an enormous sculpture. It is a vibrant, living work alive with the past laughter of little children and the old memories of old people, which become new again to dance and shout within the rebirth of junk. These are the discarded treasures whose worth faded with the changing passions of their masters' fleeting technicolor lives. This is the garbage people produce throughout their long, burning years of humanity. Now, all this waste has been reshaped, reborn, and resurfaced by the imaginings of a few souls who understand how to work with garbage. The next section of the book is called Southern Spirituals, and they're all about the South. That's actually Chapel de la Leche in St. Augustine, which is very interesting because I went to Flagler College, my last of 5 undergrads. And I started out as a basketball player, so it takes a while to get to the poetry. And I used to hang out in there all the time. And it's interesting because then my wife took her mother there the last time she was here 3 years ago, and they got caught in a thunder and lightning storm in that chapel. And had a very deep experience together. And so we chose to put that picture up there to start this. This piece is actually written in Winter Park. It's about Winter Park. And it's about how somebody might come to Florida from another part of the country. And it might be difficult for them at first because it's so hot here and so humid. It never seems to end.